from the BBC World Service in association with ABC and All India Radio. This is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Charu Sharma for Akashvani in India, and great to be back on Stumped after being away for, to the Arctic for 2 or 3 icy weeks. It was a great trip, the Norwegian Arctic, the Svalbard, and we were lucky to catch a lot of polar bear sightings. But I'm back in Mumbai, which is plus 40 right now, so it's sweltering. And I'm about to leave, of course, for Patna, the capital of the state of Bihar, where the government is rising and realizing the importance of sport. So whenever a government gets enthusiastic about sport, it's always good news. I'm to host their 2-day symposium, which will be fun. Of course, I've missed a lot of the IPL, no cricket in the Arctic, but it is now reaching a fantastic climax.
Nice to see you again, Charu. I hope you weren't wrestling with those polar bears. They've got a strong diet, and I'm sure they'd love to be taking in some fellow travellers for afternoon tea. But it's not quite the Arctic down here in Sydney. It's Jim Maxwell here for the ABC, but it's getting cooler. So I'm looking forward to heading north, well, hopefully heading to a warmer north in the UK in a couple of weeks' time in preparation for that big game at the Oval. And then, of course, the Ashes.
Well, good afternoon, both of you. I'm Nikesh Rughani here in Leicester in the East Midlands in England for the BBC. It's been another week of commentating on the IPL for me and watching the likes of Joe Root bench warming and supposedly warming up for the Ashes by doing that, which is very strange to me. What's not so strange is that it's pretty cool here at the moment. Spring hasn't really arrived in England, and not only is that a concern really ahead of the English international season, but also for me personally as well. I've come out of retirement this year, looking to play a few games, and I'm actually picking up a brand new bat later on today after this recording. So looking forward to it, and hopefully the weather can be on my side.
Well, we certainly hope so. I wonder if people still condition their bats as we used to in the past. No, Nikesh, good luck with that. But since both of you mentioned that the big one's coming up, in fact, 2 big ones, let's begin with that first on Stumped. We're just over a month away now from one of the biggest rivalries in cricket being renewed, the men's Ashes between England and Australia, and that starts at Edgbaston next month. But before that, Australia, of course, do face the challenge of India in the final of the World Test Championships at the Oval on June 7. Nikesh, do please make sure the sun comes out by then at least. So we hope for the best. It's going to be cold. And Jim, there's so much competition for places, isn't there, as far as the Australian team's concerned, both for England and Australia, matter of fact, right now. And you've been speaking to somebody special, I believe, from the Aussie camp, who's hoping to make his mark.
Well, he did 4 years ago. He got his opportunity. I caught up with Marcus Harris during the week. He's one of the 4 opening batsmen in the squad. And yes, there's some stiff competition, I suppose, as we go on through this series. But Usman and Khawaja and David Warner will be there at the start. And Harris is playing county cricket for Gloucestershire, and he's hoping that having that experience in English conditions will stand him in good stead.
Well, I think it's probably the best preparation you can have. English conditions are obviously different to Australia. And so I know coming into 2019, I remember not having played England before and wasn't a shock to the system, but it was just something so different. I wouldn't say I was under-prepared, but I just wasn't probably as prepared as what I could be. So I've been fortunate now to have 3 years of county cricket. I just think it gives me the best chance to succeed should I be given the opportunity throughout the English summer.
So where do you see yourself fitting into this Australian team if you get an opportunity? There are 4 opening batsmen there, Warner, Khawaja, Renshaw and yourself. So where do you squeeze in?
Davey and Uzi will obviously start. So I understand that. So I know that I'll be having to wait for an opportunity, but I think when my opportunity comes, I'll be opening the batting. And that's what selectors and coaches have told me. So I know what my role is. It's just a matter of waiting and being patient. And whenever that comes, I feel like I'll be ready to go. But I'm not putting any extra pressure on myself to, force my way in or anything like that. I know I'm ready to go. And whenever that chance comes, it'll come.
And the perennial question that all the pundits would ask, David Warner, is the pressure on him to keep his place? Is he near the end of his career? How do you see his situation going into these matches?
I think Davey has arguably been, if not the best opener ever for Australia. So I think he's earned the right to finish whenever he wants to finish. And whether or not that's this series or whether or not it's, at home in a home summer, that's up to him. But I think he's earned the right to see out the way he wants to see it out. And I think most of the team feels the same way, that Davey's earned the right to do that.
You're thinking of a baseball approach of some sort, batting a yard outside your crease and taking them on?
No, I don't think that's not my game. I'll probably just try and play the way that I play and, go from there. But it is good to watch the way those guys play and go about it. They definitely take the game on, but I don't think that suits the way I play now.
So do you think Australia has a more potent discipline attack than perhaps England have faced during their recent success that is going to make baseball a riskier proposition against the Australian bowlers?
Yeah, it's a good question. I remember being over here last summer, and I know when they first started playing the way that they're playing against New Zealand, some people question that, but then they came up against India, who was arguably probably one of the best attacks in the world as well, and they still did the same thing. So I wouldn't discredit the way that the English guys have played. Our attack's obviously very good, and I'd like to say the best attack in the world. So we'll soon find out once that first test match starts what they're going to do, but it's going to be a good battle either way. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. I think a lot is going to depend on what the wickets are like. If the wickets are green and doing a bit, it's probably going to be hard to come out and smack them. But if the wickets are probably a bit flatter and a bit slower, probably gives them a better chance to play like that.
Let's just look at an aspect of the Australians playing in county cricket. There seemed to be a bit of a burble around about Steve Smith playing at all for Sussex, whereas the rest of you guys had just sort of got on with doing your business. Marnus Labuschagne at Glamorgan and Nice are the same. What's the conversation been in the dressing rooms about the fact England is giving Steve Smith, giving all of you a leg up for the Ashes, and it's unfair?
Yeah, I don't know. It hasn't come up, to be honest. I signed a 2-year deal 2 years ago, so that wasn't in the discussions then. But yeah, I know. I think I saw something interesting the other day where an outlet said that Smithy was making the Sussex team worse, which I thought was funny. But I think any time that you can play cricket against the best players in the world is good for everyone. So I think the good thing about county cricket is that you get to play against some of the best players from all around the world every week. So that's what I really enjoy about it. And I think it probably makes the English players better. I think the thing is over here, there's 18 teams, so there's going to be spaces for overseas players. And I think, like, if you're a young bloke and you got to rock up against Sussex and you got to bowl to Pujara and Smithy, that'd probably be pretty good for you. So the players aren't worried about it. I think it's a bit of a media hook, line and sinker for a few people.
So as you look ahead and anticipate the series, as everyone is with so much expectation, what do you see as the differences between the sides?
I think maybe that could probably argue our team's a little bit more settled. We've probably had a pretty similar team now for the last probably 18 months. And I think now with Greeny being fit, it just gives a bit of balance to that middle order. Our bowling attack is second to none. So, and having players fit, I think, especially with the bowlers, if you can keep the same attack, only rotate a few blokes, that gives you a big opportunity of winning the test matches. So I think that would probably be our, if any advantage would be that, but I wouldn't underestimate the English side and definitely wouldn't underestimate anything they've done in the past, 18 months. And confidence is a funny thing in cricket, and they're definitely playing with confidence. So it's going to be good to watch and interesting to see how it all unfolds.
So just talk about the challenges you might be facing in the test series as an opening batsman. Who are the main threats to the Australian batsman?
Jimmy Anson's obviously still, I think he's number one bowler in the world, so he's going to be the main challenge. And then, Stuart Broad's still been bowling really well in county cricket. And then Ollie Robinson took 14 wickets the other week, so he's going to be a good challenge. They were hard work, even in the Ashes at home, especially at the MCG when we played them there. So they're the main blokes. And then Mark Wood, with the pace that he's got, is going to be a challenge. And Leachy's bowled really well the last few years. So they've got a good attack, and it's going to be hard work. But like I said, if you can apply yourself and give yourself the best chance, there's going to be runs to be made. And it's going to be hard work. But England is once you get in, it's such a good place to bat. You can score so quickly. But you just got to get through that initial phase of the tough part. When with a brilliant attack, it's not always going to be easy. But like I said, you got to give yourself the best chance.
The old mind games keep going around here and there with various players, like Stuart Broad declaring that the last Ashes series was void because of COVID. What do you and your mates make of that?
Yeah, I found that pretty funny. That was good. We were all in a hub, so it was hard work. Yeah, COVID was shocking, but it was obviously a challenge for them being overseas and in bubbles, and it was really tight restrictions at the time. But I wouldn't say it was void, but I think it's a good discussion point from Broady. But yeah, I think we'll still be claiming that we won that series 4-0.
Now, Nathan Lyons got off like Glenn McGrath in the last 24 hours saying, it'll be 5-0 Australia. You daring to make a prediction?
No, I'm not as. I haven't played 100 tests, so I'm not going to say anything. But that Gazza is funny with stuff like that. But I just think if we play our best cricket, we should win the series. So, but if we win at 5-0, if we win at 3-2, 2-1, doesn't matter as long as we win. I know we were so close last time with retaining them, but we would love to win them. So, but I think we've got the side to do it.
It's interesting though that it's 22 years since Australia won a series in England, and for a lot of that time they've been the top-ranked team in the world. So it's a bit of extra incentive, isn't it, to win in England with that marginal record behind Australia?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like I know that team back 22 years ago is probably one of the best Australian teams, if not the best Australian team to ever play as a test side. So I think it'd be a good feather in our cap as a squad if we could win the series over here. It is a really tough place to tour. So as in like cricket-wise, it's a great place to tour otherwise, but it's tough cricket. But I just think we've got a good squad now. We're quite settled. I think looking back at 2019, sort of Smithy and Davey were getting reintegrated back into the squad where they've had 4 years of cricket under their belt now. We've got a brilliant attack. You know, got Uzi's going really well, Marnie's going really well, Hetty and Greeny. So we've got a good team. And yeah, there's no reason why we can't win it this time.
And again, from Australia's perspective, as a build-up to the Ashes, if not the game itself, how about that final at the Oval? That seems to be, as it were, the perfect warm-up for an Ashes series, apart from wanting to win the game, obviously, to be number one in Test cricket.
Yeah, it would be a great reward for 2 years of, good Test cricket. We've played really well over that period of time. It'd be a great reward, like I said, for the boys to win that. It's going to be a tough game against India at the Oval. I think the way the Oval's been playing in county cricket, if it's not too dissimilar for the Test Championship, it's been a good wicket with good pace and carry. So they've obviously got a brilliant pace attack as well. So it'll be good to watch. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I think I heard that it might be sold out for most days. So I've got a feeling we might be outnumbered with supporters, but it should be a great atmosphere and a great game.
So that was Marcus Harris. A very interesting interview, I must confess, Jim. We've already heard from the Australia camp, but there's huge news from England as well, because Jonny Bairstow is back to the Test squad, as he perhaps should be, to face Ireland, of course, in that one-off Test match at the start of the next month, after recovering from a broken leg. That's Bairstow. But he has been named as the wicket-keeper, meaning that Ben Foakes misses out. And hasn't he done a fabulous job so far? So the director of cricket, Rob Key, says it's a decision they agonized over. But Ben Foakes has been with the England squad in 10 of their last 12 wins, and by any standards done a fantastic job. So to get Bairstow in now, rough on Foakes. Nikesh, complicated one for England. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely complicated one. Look, there's no doubt, first and foremost, that Jonny Bairstow has to come back in if he's fit. He was England's player of the summer in 2022, really took the bull by the horns in terms of this new style of cricket that England are looking to play. Positive, on the front foot. He was so crucial in some of those run chases, the record run chase against India. We all remember Trent Bridge, that century in the fourth innings to beat New Zealand. There were so many great moments from Jonny Bairstow. I suppose the question is, does he have to be in the side as a wicket-keeper? And is there a place for both of them? Which, some people may be suggesting as well. Look, Ben Foakes is a brilliant keeper. Ben Stokes, the skipper, actually said a year ago that he's the best keeper in the world, in my opinion, and we can't leave world-class players out of our team. And when you look at it, can you afford to have somebody who's not as good behind the stumps in such a major series such as the Ashes? Yes, there's not going to be a lot of spin playing a part and, keepers standing up to the stump. So there is a little bit more give in terms of that side of things. But, was there a place for both of them? Zach Crawley's still in the squad. He's batting at the top of the order. He's got a test average of 27. And from his 20 test matches, Ben Foakes has got an average of 32. So you could argue that he's been the better batter in that time anyway. And could he come in that middle order place, Ben Foakes, and have somebody like a Jonny Bairstow further up towards the top of the order? Would that be messing with it too much? I don't know, but there's lots of debate around it, and you've got to feel sorry for somebody like a Foakes. Maybe he just doesn't fit into this inverted commas Bazball style of cricket, and that's the reason why they've not gone with him. Stefan Schemmelt, who writes for the BBC Sport website, described it as this: Jonny Bairstow is England's fire starter, Ben Foakes is England's fire fighter. And is there a place for both in the side? Maybe there should be, but There won't be this time by the looks of it.
Jim, this confusion might, in fact, help Australia a bit. Do you think? Your thoughts?
Well, Bairstow's selection has thrown the balance of the side out, or he's in because of that, I guess. Stokes doesn't bowl as much as he did, and Harry Brook was so good when he came into the side that he has demanded a spot, whereas Bairstow comes in a bit more marginally, I suppose, particularly off an injury, as a specialist number 7 and wicket-keeper. I'm not sure that that's the ideal situation for England. It'll smooth out as we go, perhaps, because this is the early phase of the summer. And Bairstow's there on a tremendous reputation built last year, but it's not a strong one against Australia in England, where he's been found out more often than not. 2 centuries in Australia, but none in England. And Foakes is clearly a much better wicketkeeper, but it's England's issue because it's not their batting, it's their bowling that they've got to get right. And in order to compromise, they found a spot for Bairstow because they think, the extra batting. They need him as much as anyone else because of that. And he's going to keep wicket. Now, how it works, we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't think it's an ideal situation for England, and Australia would be happy more or less that this is a change that's imminent. Although we do have to remember, at this point, it is only for a test match against Ireland.
And that's all we've got time for on this week's Stumped on Akashvani. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter. We're at BBC WS Sport and use the hashtag BBC Stumped. And of course, you can check us out on YouTube as well. Go to BBC World Service YouTube. My thanks to Nikesh Rughani for joining us this week. Thank you again. And of course, to Jim Maxwell as always. And to all of you for listening. Speak to you again soon. Till then, goodbye.
Stumped is a BBC sport production for the BBC World Service in association with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and All India Radio.